Hey guys, welcome back and thanks again for joining me. This is Dale, aka the Marshall Marketer, coming back at you from the tornado-torn city of Dallas, Texas. It's really not quite that bad, but I'm thankful my neighborhood was spared most of the devastation. Some of the neighborhoods, some of the areas that immediately surround me got it a lot worse than I did. So I spent a good part of the day yesterday running around, helping with some cleanup. It's an older part of town that I live in, so we have some elderly people here. And I was concerned, and I still am, that they didn't have any electricity, and they still don't today. So I've been running around kind of making sure that they're okay and they didn't need anything. I got my internet back. I think it was late afternoon yesterday, so got busy again. I was behind on a few things and all this marketing I'm doing, and worked throughout the night to get caught up. Wanted to make sure that I got a video in today, and I've been percolating on a couple of subjects that I wanted to just toss out at you. And today, things just kind of took a life of their own. My primary Kung Fu teacher came over this morning. He wanted to check on me, wanted to make sure everything was okay with all the wild weather. And so we got into an impromptu lesson. Now, he's recently been initiating me into a rare art that he is expert in. So we went over that today, and he decided to put me through my paces. And he wanted to see how I was doing with it. So we went back and forth. We sparred back and forth, and sparring with him is not always a friendly matter. He really wants to test you and make sure you know what you're doing. So about 5 minutes into it, I felt like I was back in grade school. I wasn't doing anything right. He was slapping me around all over the room and then later the backyard like crazy. So I finished the session thinking, I know nothing. So I thanked him. He left, and I decided to plug into the boot camp that I mentioned that I'm currently participating in. Fired up my laptop, and what was the topic for today? Why sucking at something is vital to your success. And I thought, wow, somebody wants to teach me a lesson today. So went through the discussion, went back and forth with a couple of my peers there, and it really got me to thinking. I'd really been wanting to talk about training with a purpose, and we'll circle back more specifically to that, but sometimes the purpose of training is failure, I think. Now, that probably didn't make sense, right? Okay, let me explain what I'm thinking. In one of the Kung Fu styles that I've studied in the past, Tai Chi Chuan, they actually have a phrase for this. They call it investing in loss, investing in losing. And part of what they mean by that is that you're going into whatever training that you're doing that day with the expectation that you're not going to be doing very well at it. You might actually be doing push hands, a drill with someone else, and you're picking someone in your class that is head and shoulders above you, that is just absolutely going to dominate and cream you in the middle of the drill. Well, okay, that's kind of bruising to your ego to do that. I've done it many times. One of my teachers, this is a different Kung Fu teacher, told me that every time he goes to some sparring match, and he's well known locally for doing this, he'll match his skills against anyone of any stripe, boxers, MMA fighters, other Kung Fu people, karate guys, whatever. He tells me that he goes into a sparring match hoping that he's going to get his head handed to him. And I was really a little confused about that when he first told me. And he explained, whenever he wins, he really doesn't feel like he's learned much of anything. If he loses badly, then he has something to work on. something to better himself on. So I really think that's kind of the lesson I was learning this morning with my teacher. And then the further lesson, the same lesson that I plugged into the boot camp, and that is, if you're sucking at something in this marketing journey that we're on, it means that you found something that's given you the opportunity to really better your skills. If all you're doing is something that's coming easy and natural to you, that's good from one perspective, but you're also not growing. So that's, again, I mentioned this before, one of the reasons I'm doing these YouTube videos. Never have done them in my life, and I'm sure some of you will agree they kind of suck right now. But I've gotten a little bit of feedback here and there, dribbles of feedback, and I've learned from that feedback. I've learned just from the process of doing this. And so I'm getting incrementally better, just bit by bit. So I'm investing in loss, knowing that I'm sucking at some of the stuff that I'm doing, because doing it is going to push me to evolve. And sometimes that's the purpose of training. You train in something that's really just a little bit out of reach, that's over your head. Because once you reach up and you can actually grab it, you've grown. So that's kind of my message for today. Sometimes sucking at something really isn't that bad. Sometimes it's really what you need. Sometimes that's the purpose. So till tomorrow, I'll be back. I hope you will too. Be well and train with a purpose.